you're watching Selene Sunshine Talk Show. Now we're back to Selene Sunshine Talk Show. Welcome back everyone to Selene Sunshine Talk Show. Now for part 2, we're gonna talk about the privatization of water excess. And then we're gonna go through the water privatization in Jakarta, which is the capital city of Indonesia located in the Southeast Asia. Well, for some people would be unfamiliar with this word privatization. So, what does privatization mean? Privatization, changing something such as business, industry, or service from public to private ownership and control. Privatization is the process of transferring ownership of business from the public sector, which is the government, to the private sector of business. Wider, privatization refers to transfer of any governmental function to the private part, including governmental functions like income collection and law enforcement. The primary 3 international privatized water companies are SUS, Veolia, formerly Vivendi, and RWE, all of which are based in Western Europe. So to go through water privatization specifically, let's watch the Jakarta Sunshine News, starting from now on in Jakarta. Back from the weekend, I'm Selene Park and this is Jakarta Sunshine News. Around the world, multinational companies are taking hold of control of public water resources and emphasizing profits for the stockholders and executives over the needs of the communities they serve. Currently, there is a rush to privatize water services around the world. The World Bank and International Monetary Fund (IMF) are pushing for the privatization of water services by European and US-based companies. They are pushing privatization through conditions in trade agreements and credit conditions like lending and borrowing money to developing countries. These privatization programs started in the early 1990s and have since appeared in India, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina, Nigeria, Mexico, Malaysia, Australia, and the Philippines, to name a few. And Indonesia has been one of the countries with the issue of water privatization. These private water companies try to persuade cash-strapped cities and towns to give up the control over their valuable public water and sewer systems. And many communities that experimented with privatization have found that it often results in worse service at a higher cost. After taking over a civic water system, water companies aggressively increase water rates by an average of about 10% a year, adding hundreds of dollars onto the typical annual household bill. This was Selene Park reporting from Jakarta. It has been more than 10 years Jakarta water has been privatized by Pelija and dams. In fact, their existence has not brought any significant improvements in supplying drinking water to Jakarta's citizens. The next guests we're bringing will show the realities that right to water is still a big problem to be solved in Jakarta. So stay tuned. Hello guys, welcome back. Well, it was a good news. For now on, we're gonna bring a huge guest to interview. She came from the northern part of Jakarta, where the water is privatized. So, please give her a big hand. Here she comes, Miss Yuyun. Hello, Miss Yuyun.
Good afternoon.
So, thanks for coming to my talk show from Jakarta.
Oh, no, it was my pleasure to meet you.
I heard that these days water privatization in Jakarta is getting serious. So how is it in your place? Well, I heard you came from the northern part of Jakarta.
Yes, I am. Well, northern part of Jakarta is estimated 1/3 of whole Jakarta's population, and it is overcrowding. Secondly, as you know, most of them are poor. There are some groups that are wealthy, but on average, they are middle-lower income people. It used to be a fish pond, not densely populated like this. Then in 2001, there was PM's installation. PM is a state-owned drinking water enterprises. And we could only use the water for a year, since afterwards it did not work out anymore. No water from the pipes. If PM's water didn't work out, we looked for a water hydrant form, which we can buy and bring the water home using a wheelbarrow. A person who can buy 2 yokes, so that's what he got, and if it's a wheelbarrow, so wheelbarrow he got. The hydrant was invented within the new order.
How did this water privatization begin in your village?
At that time, one of the political party wanted to gather a major vote while northern part of Jakarta has lots of potential voters. Since most people there are poor, it eased the political party to get their votes. We demanded water, so the political party placed approximately 2,000 hydrants. PM's officer, the controller, said that for those who wanted to sell water, they had to have a permit of handling a hydrant. Water is an urgent need, while if you wanted to buy water from the hydrant owner, you had to be in a long line since the wheelbarrows are so limited, approximately around 5 to 7 units. In an area where a private operator of PMs is located, actually there is still no water. But there was a person who got a connection from PVC pipe, but we do not know where the water flew. It was patched in his own pool and sells to water through PM's pipeline using PMs. Can you imagine that people are charged 10,000 rupee per cubic meter every 15 days?
Well, that's a lot of water. So how are you gonna do? Are you gonna keep the water privatized?
Actually, people here prefer to have PM's water in their houses than to buy it from hydrant water enterprises, which is much more expensive in order to gain high profits. In early 2006, regulatory persons suggested a concept to PM and private companies to change hydrant water management as community unit business, because it means all the citizens will have interest on the hydrant management, and it will profit the citizens instead of individuals. So not just only in Indonesia, or not just only us. Private water companies usually increase prices on the water they provide. In some cases, these price increases have been so hefty as to knock poor consumers like the people in our village out of the market entirely, leaving them again with no access to water because they cannot afford it even when it's physically accessible. According to the UN Development Program, privatization has hurt many people in the developing world, where poor people pay some of the highest price of the water.
So what's your solution?
I guess there's not much solution for this problem of water privatization unless the private companies change their minds and start providing us clean and cheap accessible water. Or I think protesting to the government about this problem is also one way.
Oh, okay. Thank you for joining us today, Miss Yoon, and I hope that the people in your village could have access to clean water soon. It was an honor to have you here.
The honor is mine.
Thank you. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Today, meeting Miss Yu made me think a lot about water and feel how precious water is to us. To know more about this water privatization, I would want to recommend this film called Flow. Can anyone really own water? More importantly, should they? This is the central question of this documentary film called Flow, which stands for the love of water. This film begins with a quote from W.H. Auden. Thousands have lived without love, not without water, not one without water. Flow's call to action was about access to clean water should be a human right and the 31st article of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It shows some real situation and serious water issues that are happening these days. To say some, Nestle, which is one of the biggest water company that owns over 70 bottled water brands around the world, has been one of the examples of water problems. Nestle kept all the clean water for themselves and for their own benefits. According to this film, it says that they're taking over 450 gallons of clean water from the ground in a minute for their own private. For this, Nestle appealed the ruling that denied them the rights to pump the water of Mexico countries. Nestle asked permission to continue pumping water during an appeal process, and that permission was granted. Then the people couldn't get access to clean water, so they sued Nestle, and the court ordered Nestle to let the people get access to clean water. If you see these problems, you can see that water privatization is getting serious these days. Since we always get access to clean water easily, I never feel and think seriously about water and how precious it is. But I realized that in the other areas there are lots of water problems that we don't know, and one of those are water privatization. Since water privatizing was the main issue of this film Flow, it made me feel how unfair the world and we the people are. We only think about our own benefits. As a matter of fact, water is shared and given free for everyone in the world, like the air that we're breathing. But because of our selfishness, we are making clean water to our money. What I'm saying is that why are we paying for something that is actually ours? So, however, now we have Article 31, which states that everyone has the right to have clean and accessible water. I would want to say, water is right, not a privilege.
You would not believe your eyes if 10 million flyers